I have a question from Summer Breeze. Again, she asks really good questions. And let me just make this clear. If you ask me a question, I will give you a shout out and I will read it. And I'll answer it right here on a video. Here's your coffee. And it's really good. It's really good. Okay, she says, "Hi Lee, I am working on getting rid of 56 years of stuff." Stuff, yeah, we call it stuff. And she's ready to hit the road and explore. Her daughter is now a freshman in college, and she's been waiting for her time for a while. Yeah, it's just she wants to get going with her life. You know, women and men too spend their younger years taking care of children, and they do push back on anything that they, you know, that they really want to do. And now is the time when they can start exploring. She mentions exploring. So she says, "My first question is, when you were living in a house, did you have a lot of furniture and possessions to get rid of? And how did you go about it?" She has a 4-bedroom, 2-story apartment. She can't afford it anymore. That seems to be a regular scenario, right? And she thought of just the first step is daunting, however. "I cannot wait to be free of all material things that keep weighing us down." I'll tell you, it's like having weights on our shoulders. And once you get rid of everything, I felt it, and I've heard people say this, once you do, it's like you can fly. There is this huge weight lifted off. And that, you know, even having, I will mention, even having a storage, and I've got stuff in my storage, you know, I don't like it. But I am paying for a 5x10 so I can keep those things there till I decide what I'm going to do. But I don't think I need a 5x10 because more stuff goes in there. Yeah, it can start weighing you down. I didn't have a lot of stuff. Here's what really went down for me. My daughter lived right beside me, okay? Now, I had furniture that I've had a long time since my kids were really small, all of them, that I collected. They're sort of antique-ish, you know, like just unusual things that my husband and I would buy from, like, they didn't have Craigslist back then, but, you know, in the paper, and they would, one was like, it was something that kept your linens and your silver. You had drawers and your linens and your tablecloths. And I don't know what that's called, but that's what that was. I mean, I had that for years, ever since they were babies. And I bought it in the newspaper. Well, then I started collecting other things. I found a really old antique dresser. It had those joints, those what are those joints where they go into each other? You know, those joints. It was very old. And one of the drawer faces were off, and it was in a dumpster in an apartment we were living in. And we just got back from walking. All of us, we went for a walk. Maybe it was Christmas and we were seeing some lights. I don't know, but we were all there. And a couple of my teens' friends. And I looked at it and I said, "Oh my gosh, look at this." If you live in an apartment building and somebody moves out, it's a bonanza at the dumpster because they're throwing stuff away that, you know, maybe they can't take with them because it's too much. Well, I said, "Okay, kids, come get." Partial of it was in the dumpster. And I said, "Okay, kids, you got to help me get this." He said, "I'm not dumpster diving, Mom." So I said, "Get over here and help me carry this to the apartment." They did. Well, I actually held it for a while. Then there was another table that I found that was definitely antique. It was all ornate and everything. So what I did was, eventually, when I really got into the construction field, I refinished them, and I did them all the same so it looked more congruent. Okay, this is a long story, right? Okay, so these were very important in the family. So when my daughter, her husband he finally graduated from college, chemical engineer. But when he applied for work, he got a position in Cincinnati, Ohio. Oh my gosh. Well, my daughter was like, well, I didn't think he'd go that far. So they're going to move. And I thought, she always said that she wanted those. So I said, okay. Well, they had like a North American truck, a huge, the moving trucks, pull in. They moved them for free. So I thought, well, now's the time. We moved them over to their place and just so they would pack them. So she got all that. So I got a lot of stuff out of the way. I knew that I was going to miss them. I mean, of course I was going to miss those things. I didn't know I was going to become a nomad at that point, but I knew that she needed them. I knew she was going to get them. And how was I going to, if she was going to be in Cincinnati for years, how would I ever get those to her? So that was an easy decision. Okay, so now I'm living without those. Yikes, my dresser, because I used it as a dresser. That was the catalyst for me becoming a nomad, was that she was kind of having a little bit of a hard time. And I thought something just, the spirit saying, hey, this is it. This is your moment. Because I knew this is what I wanted to do. I knew I was going to become a nomad. I just knew it. And I knew I was going to get a minivan. I saw Cheap RV living quite a few van tours. And I always said, I want a minivan. That's me. I'm the minivan girl. And I don't want to, I already knew that. I don't want to build out. Oh my gosh. No, that would be like, no. So, then somebody else moved into the place that my daughter had. And nah, they weren't my cup of tea. And I dismissed her anyway. So I basically told my landlord, I said, I'm giving my notice. Yeah. I mean, I'd been there 15 years. I gave her my notice and I was going to leave. I didn't even have a minivan yet, but I figured if I didn't get one, I'd be in my car that I have now on wait. I was going to clean out the trunk. I was going to do that trunk thing, clean out the trunk, take out the back seat. That's what I was going to do. I mean, this is how much I wanted it. I didn't want to be there anymore. If she wasn't going to be there, my granddaughter, who we were like peas and carrots, yeah, I just didn't want to be there anymore. I started getting rid of things. I knew I was going to be leaving anyways, so I knew that I needed to start getting rid of stuff. I mean, I had a full functioning country kitchen. I had every kind of rice, every herb. I even had extracts. I made my own herbal extracts. I knew how to do that. Herbology, yes. I had all that stuff, and I had all kinds of gadgets. I was a cook, okay? But here's what I had to do. I had to just start dumping things. I had to dump food. Who's going to take I had numerous. I was a curd jar, right? And I would do the curd jars. It was like a country kitchen. I had a bookshelf and I had all of them lined up with herbs, teas, rices, grains. Yeah, I had it all. I was a full functioning cook. Well, I just started dumping. I mean, that's all I did. That's all I did. I had a little business going, but as soon as I got home, I was dumping. I was dumping in the garbage. I was filling up people's dumpsters all around the neighborhood, basically, for sure. And I was dumping things out of the curd jars and washing them. And yeah, it was a process. Let's even mention I was a prepper. Oh yeah, I had water stored. I had to dump the water. Of course, I did it outside, so don't worry. I didn't waste water. Yeah, I had to get rid of a lot of stuff. Well, then I went to visit my daughter. I flew, and I wanted so bad to look for a minivan. I think I did a couple times, but he said, wait, stop. It's like, no, there's no green light. It's a red light. So I thought, okay. So then I went to visit them. So I went to look at they bought a new house. They bought it with me in mind, actually. And I went to see it. And then I flew back and we talked about what the arrangements would be. Then I flew back. And as soon as I flew back the next day, it was on a Sunday, and I heard the voice that said, go ahead and look. So I looked on Craigslist and I found my minivan, and I saw it that night. He came and showed it to me, and the next day I gave him cash. Okay, so now the timeline, now it's like a mad dash. Okay, got my minivan. It's happening. I called my children that were still in Tucson, and I gave a lot of stuff to my granddaughter too, who was like 18. And I said, look, I go, bring your friends, bring your friends' friends, bring your parents, bring your friends' parents. I let my kids come first, and my grandkids, because I had two grown grandchildren, and they picked what they wanted. I mean, we're talking about power tools. We're talking about, I had big, the 6-gallon buckets, white buckets of grains and rice from emergency essentials. I mean, I had all that. It went like that. Oh yeah. Now my kids only took so much because they have a full functioning house too. So this is how it happened. People came and took what they wanted, and I had good stuff. As far as furniture, like I said, I got rid of a lot. It wasn't a huge house. Like I said, I had futons, things like that. But as far as like big couches, matching couches and chairs, that wasn't my lifestyle. That was never my lifestyle. I had a wonderful desk with a chair that I spent most of my time on there because I was writing, or I was sitting there doing my artwork, or I was painting or something like that. And then I spent a lot of time in bed, like at night around like 6. I didn't date. I wasn't dating or anything. So I spent a lot of my time I would get my tea, I'd get get whatever I wanted. I'd set my laptop up, and I would be sitting there like I do here. I'd be sitting there doing my thing. So as far as I really didn't even own a TV. I never owned one of those big flat screen TVs. They seem expensive. Didn't want the space for it. If I could watch anything, I watched it on my laptop. So yeah, there you go. That was my lifestyle. It was very free-spirited hippie style. But it was a nice house. I mean, I was quite the decorator, like here. I had a lot of knickknacks, a lot of things I collected. And I was really good at decorating. So when you walked in, even my landlord, every once in a while she'd come and walk in, and she goes, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. I mean, I just did. I knew what I was doing when it comes to decorating. And it didn't cost a lot of money. So anyways, but I had to get rid of everything. You want to know how I got rid of it? This is my timeline. And I'm going to tell you, I have another friend who's trying to get the same thing done as you. And she's got her storage. She's moving things. And she says, I don't know how you did it in a month. But I'm going to tell you what. I did it in 30 days. I did it in 30 days. I was, from the day that I gave my notice. Well, I gave my notice a couple weeks previously. And then once the next month hit, the first, I think it was, what was it? I think it was September. Yeah, September. So October is when I moved out. And I stayed actually in Tucson for 2 months before I went to Cincinnati. And I stayed here for 2 months. So that was fun, getting up to playing van life, practicing in a place that I knew. But I will say, in 30 days, yeah, I was out. So what I did was I threw away, my lifestyle might not be the same as yours. The year before, for some reason, I was like listening and I was following. I went through, I had file cabinets, and I was saving a lot of things for my children. And then, of course, their pictures. What I had already done was I went through all my filing cabinet, and I was throwing papers out. I was going through stuff, finding things like a registration or a sale receipt from when I sold my Volkswagen or whatever from like 20 years ago, right? So what I did was I took all the what I had 4 piles because I have 4 children. I had 4 piles. Well, actually, I think I had 5 because of my granddaughter. I was very close to my grown granddaughter. And so I was putting everything in their piles. It was in the back room, and I could just leave it there when I would go work on it. I divided up, went through every photo that I had. And there was quite a few because I had some from when I was small too. And I divided them up properly. Yes. And so I pretty much could handle everything to them. and say, here is your paperwork, like stuff from school, notes they ever wrote to me when they were younger, like, oh, I'm sorry, Mom. You know, I was mean to you. I was talking very mean to you last night, but I'm really, you know, stuff like that. I kept that stuff. So I gave it to them. And I gave them all their pictures. So that was done. Those are those heirloom things. And then they basically came in and took what they wanted. It was like open house. There was only, in my bedroom, it was the only area that they could walk through it. But everything that I wanted for me was there. And then my back room was everything that I needed, that I thought I might want for Nomad life. So I was really living in chaos for that month, but it was an organized chaos. And what I did was once they came and took what they wanted, I started throwing stuff away because I knew I had to be out. I didn't want to be there anymore. And I threw a lot of stuff away. Yeah, I did. And behind our house was these alleys with those great big dumpsters, the big ones. And I was filling those up too. They weren't mine, but you know, I filled them up. And I was filling them up and got rid of stuff. I did not have time to organize a, what do you call that? A yard sale, you know? I didn't want strangers coming to my home, so I didn't put anything on Craigslist. I probably could have made thousands of dollars off of my stuff, but I didn't. And I gave, you know, like I had a really nice bike. Like it was expensive, but I gave it to my granddaughter. I just like, do you want these things? You know? That's how I did it. But if you had like 2 years to do it, of course you're going to go slow. You're going to go very slow. You're not going to condense it up because you've got all the time in the world. So you have to decide what you're going to do with it. Now, my friend, what she's doing is she's putting it on Facebook Marketplace, okay? And that's what she's doing. She's selling a lot of her things. She's really doing it smart because she is taking her time, but she's moving every day. She's doing something to get rid of things. And what she has in her storage are things that she's going to use for camping. So that is how you're going to have to do it. Now, I have the book, How to Live in a Minivan, the Minivan Lee Way. And I'm going to tell you right now that if you really are thinking of doing this, go on Amazon and just buy the book. Because in the book, I explain and I give from start to finish, from thought to action, all the way through the process. So I really recommend that you get the book because you're going to be able to take notes, and I'm going to lead you on how to take notes. My very first suggestion is that you go out and you get yourself a notebook. Even get a special one just for you, and a nice pen that you want to use. Either keep it on your kitchen counter or put it on your desk, wherever you're going to find it, and have it ready to go at all times. And you're going to have sections, and I'm going to tell, and what it does is it's a guide. I'm going to guide you, and I'm going to get you from A to Z. I say that, and I'm not kidding. People have bought the book going, oh my gosh, I really planned this out. I'm a very organized person and a good writer. And so I have thought this out, and I give suggestions, and not just for my lifestyle. Well, I didn't have a lot of furniture, blah, blah, blah. No, you might have a lot of furniture. Not everybody. We don't live all the same. We don't do that. So what I'm going to do is get you from A to Z, and I'm going to get you there in style. I'm going to get you there stress-free because there's a lot of stuff you need to think about. Where's your domicile going to be? You know what a domicile is. It's your address. You have to have a domicile, and you have to be able to get mail there. You can't just walk around and say, oh, I like that house. What's the address? Yeah, I'll use that as my domicile. You need official papers to be able to go there because they're going to send you official papers. And you need to know, well, what area am I going to go in? How am I going to talk to my family about this? How am I going to get myself organized? How am I going to get things from here over to there? And then I actually, in the book, at the end, I get you beyond parking suggestions. How to be a nomad. You're out and about. What are you going to do? So I really recommend getting the book. I'm glad I got rid of this stuff. I've had people ask me, well, do you miss anything? No. Here's the funny thing, is that when I do go to my children's homes, I see my stuff. I see it. My daughter in Cincinnati, I took her most of my paintings and my artwork, my drawings. And so she has those. I mean, they're just she's silly with it. They're all over her walls. Yeah, I'm glad, So she's the keeper of my artwork, my physical artwork. And when I drove to Cincinnati, I had a special place keeping it. Here's the thing. I had to take everything out of the frames. I wasn't going to carry these frames, and I had quite a bit. So I had to take them all out of the frames. I had to wrap them. Oh my gosh. And so I say just stay busy, but I only had the 30 days. Give yourself a time and move along and get going, okay? Because you really never know. My friend, what she's thinking is she doesn't know. She's not overly secure with the place she's at. It's a nice place, but she's not secure with it. Rents are going crazy. And she's in a very cold climate anyway, so she kind of wants to get out of there. But yeah, it's I would say to all of you, whether you're thinking about this lifestyle or not, to anybody out there, bam, 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 all of you, my friends, that's what you are. I would start thinking about this, because even I got started a couple years before. I just thought something kind of poked me and said, start getting stuff together. I didn't know why, but it's just start organizing your life. And here's the thing. If anything happens to you, guess what? Do you want your children to have to go through all that stupid paperwork, nonsensical paperwork? I mean, I found like electric bills from 10 years ago. What was I saving that for? I did find a $100 bill in there. You might find money in your file cabinet somewhere that I must have hidden it and I forgot about it. Found $100 in there. Was it $100? No, I think it was a couple $100 bills. Just kind of put them in there. I did that with a friend of mine. She was an older lady. She was miss her terribly, but we had become very close, and she passed away. But before she did, she wanted me to go through her stuff. And she had 2 or 3 different file cabinets that I went through. And she was right there. She was like, she had cancer. And I would go over there and ask her when I wasn't sure. I go, what about this? And she'd say, well, leave that, or no, get rid of it. So I know what the process is. It's a big process. So I already had that experience. And what I did with mine was something just sparked me and said, go through your file cabinets. And start getting rid of stuff and start going through all your paperwork. Yeah. Start cleaning things up and organizing. So that's what I did. It's going to be different for everybody. But I say give yourself a timeline and say, I'm going to have this done by such and such. But definitely, I'm quite serious. Get the book. Get the book, because it's going to save a lot for yourself, especially if you don't have the best organizational skills. And a great question. I probably went into more detail, but you'd like to hear my story. This is how I got started as a nomad, and this is how I got from A to Z. Okay, well, listen, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow, so please subscribe. Thank you. And give me a thumbs up, and go to minivanlee.com. The link to get the book is there, but all you have to do is go to Amazon and type in Minivan Lee. Seriously, it's a good book. It is not that expensive. You can get it online. You can get the ebook. I say get the physical book, and that way you've got it right there to look at it and get going. Till tomorrow, everybody. Bye.